How many of you consider yourself a caffeine addict? How many cups of coffee do you have a day? What about tea, soda, or even chocolate? Caffeine can have a wide range of effects on the body depending on the amount consumed, and many people are unaware of the amount they're consuming due to so many different sources. I myself knowingly indulge in caffeine every morning with a large cup of coffee for a nice kickstart to my day, and it appears many of my audience does the same. So, first, I'll take you through how caffeine works to give you that burst of energy, then the sources of caffeine, and both the benefits and the negatives of its consumption. So, the number one reason people take in caffeine is to be provided with that feeling of alertness. So, let's take a look at how it has this stimulating effect. The first thing you need to know is that caffeine is a psychoactive stimulant because it crosses the blood brain barrier and acts on our central nervous system to produce its effects. If you were to take in, say, 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is about the amount that's in one 8-ounce cup of coffee, it would begin by blocking adenosine receptors on the brain. It does this by mimicking them and not allowing any of the adenosine to attach. So this would be the caffeine here, and its receptor for the adenosine. And instead of the adenosine attaching, the caffeine is blocking those receptors. And what these receptors would do is tell your brain, hey, I'm tired. We better close your eyes. Time to go to sleep. So with these blocked, your brain has no thought of you being tired at all, and you're already feeling this awake and alert sensation. Now, additionally, the caffeine will trigger your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland to send a message to your adrenal cortex to make adrenaline. And this adrenaline gets your heart rate going and your blood pressure to increase. So it basically gets your body into the same alert situation that your brain is already in. Lastly, it's going to affect your dopamine levels, and they're going to increase, which will make you in a real positive mood. So this good, energizing feeling lasts about 3 hours from this 100 milligrams of caffeine, and it's been determined that 3 times this amount, so 300 milligrams per day, is what would be considered a safe level. However, according to the Center of Science in the Public Interest, half of all adults surpass this safe level, and 20% of them consume even well over 600 milligrams per day. So you start to wonder, well, where is all this caffeine coming from? And the fact is that there is 63 plants that are natural sources of caffeine that we use in various products. And then on top of that, natural isn't even the only way we get caffeine into our food and drinks. Companies are now able to produce caffeine synthetically in a lab and then add it to the food and drink that we consume. And according to the Food and Drug Administration, products only have to state the amount of caffeine in them if it is added synthetically. So your coffee beans, tea leaves, your cola nut, and your guanea berry are the 4 most commonly used caffeinated plants out of the total 63, which means basically that your coffee, your tea, or your chocolate that you're buying, the label may not contain any caffeine content in it just due to the FDA regulations that it doesn't need to be. Whereas when you buy your sodas such as Coke, Pepsi, or Mountain Dew, it will be listed on the label because all of those things have synthetically added caffeine. So those naturally caffeinated products such as coffee and tea, and synthetically caffeinated such as your sodas and energy drinks, are very well known for having caffeine in them, and it's why we buy them most of the time. But there are products that people are surprised to hear that there's caffeine in non-cola sodas, such as your Barks Root Beer or Sunkist Orange Soda, for example. Those have caffeine in them too, even though they're widely thought of as non-caffeinated drinks. And chocolate's another one. Some people know there's caffeine in there, some people don't. But many forget that chocolate milk and chocolate ice cream is just another product of that, and those also contain caffeine. A shocker to a lot of people, and even myself when I first heard, is that decaf coffee still contains caffeine. Companies do their best to remove all the caffeine, but on average, about 2.5% of the original caffeine is still left in each cup. So, although it's considered decaffeinated, there is still a small amount of caffeine in it. So, many sports drinks also have caffeine. Vitamin water is one of them. It's used in there to boost athletic performance, but many people don't realize that it's there. Also, weight loss pills and headache medications often include some type of caffeine as well. It varies whether it's the synthetic or the natural, but with the cost of the synthetic caffeine being so inexpensive to make, it is commonly the choice for most medications. And also, not only for the medications, but a lot of new caffeinated products are hitting the market because a lot of times to do with this inexpensive way of making it. These breath fresheners that are energized is one of them. They also are making seeds and nuts that are brushed with a form of caffeine. There's Morning Spark Energy Oatmeal. And maybe you're not a coffee person, or maybe it's just not doing the trick. There's Perky Jerky, so caffeinated beef jerky. This one is extremely common now, is the caffeinated gum. Many of just the very common gum labels are making a branch of caffeinated gum now. And this one caught me by surprise. It's just a caffeine inhaler. So no product other than just pure caffeine. Just a one spray in the mouth, and you have your entire 300 milligrams right there to get you through the day, apparently. So I think with the combination of caffeine synthetically being made so inexpensively, and also with us just loving the quick fix energy boost, these products are just going to continue to grow and become more and more accessible to us, which is great if that's what you're looking for. And there also are a lot more benefits to caffeine than just the obvious energy factor, but one of them is we feel more positive and in a better mood when we consume it, and that's because of those dopamine levels. And according to my audience analysis question, that's just a quality that everyone really appreciates about caffeine. But what you might not know is that it also can help condition memory. And it's been proven that one who studies while consuming caffeine intake is a lot more likely to remember facts in the long term than one who doesn't. And this is even after the fact. If you stop consuming, you're still more likely to remember those things that you studied while you were consuming the caffeine. So on top of that, if you indulge the natural sources, any of those 63 plants, the benefits reach even further. Natural caffeine is absolutely packed with antioxidants, which is great for disease prevention. some that have been directly linked to the antioxidants provided by those caffeinated plants are prevention of type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's, dementia, strokes, and then also many cancers. But unfortunately, some bad does also come with the good. Whether it's synthetic or natural, regularly exceeding the 300 milligrams per day can be related to cases of insomnia, anxiety issues, hallucinations can occur in some more extreme cases of high intake. And then osteoporosis in women has been linked to regular caffeine consumption, or at least a higher rate of it. Caffeine is also a diuretic, as well as being a psychoactive drug. And this can cause you to have excessive urination and also sometimes diarrhea. So that's the diuretic part of it. Now, the psychoactive category is what gives it its addictive and dependency qualities. And although it's not as intense as many others in its category, it's still capable of causing that dependency, and then also the withdrawal symptoms if you were to stop consuming or miss out on it for a day. So the most common symptoms do occur within that one day of not consuming the caffeine, and then it can last up to a week if you continue to stay off of it. The most likely symptoms one would have would be headaches, fatigue, anxiety, irritability, depression, and then difficulty concentrating. So today I've tried to show you due to the large amount of caffeine intake and the sources, people are unaware of the effects it could be having on their body. And now that I've went over how it works, the sources it's found in, both the positive and negative sides of the intake of caffeine, I hope from here on out you can make a more conscious decision on whether you are consuming caffeine and if it's giving you more positive benefits that can outweigh the negatives.